Hello, we're going to work some more on story problems aloud, and this is called How Many Crayons? Remember, as I read this story problem to you, I want you to visualize what's going on in the problem. And remember, visualize means to see it in your head. Toshi was working at the art table. He had 10 crayons. When Chris joined him, Toshi gave Chris 3 crayons. How many crayons did Toshi have then? All right, let's go back and think about what's happening in this problem. Remember to visualize. How many crayons did Toshi have at the beginning? Right, he had 10 crayons. And what did he do when Chris joined him? That's correct. He gave Chris 3 crayons. And our question is, how many crayons did he have then? Well, let's see. Is Toshi going to have more than 10 crayons at the end? Or will Toshi have less than 10 crayons at the end? All right, let's think about how we could solve this problem. We know that he starts out with 10 crayons. So I'm going to go up here and grab a pen. And let's draw 10 crayons. Now, to make sure that I have 10, I'm going to number them. That's very important because sometimes you might accidentally draw too many or you might not have enough. So it's a good idea to always count by writing down, and you need to give yourself some space to write the numbers. Don't squeeze those lines in very tight. As you see, I've given myself some room so I can put the number right underneath the line. You don't want to put a number under 2 lines because that would really mess you up. Sorry about that. I kind of made a mistake there with making 10. All right, now we know that Toshi gave Chris 3 crayons. So one thing we could do is we could mark out 3 and maybe circle them. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and we might even want to make a circle around those 3. I've seen a lot of students do that, and that seems to be very helpful, just to kind of put a circle around them. All right, so how many crayons do we have left? Right, we have 7. Our difference is 7. Difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. So one strategy could be to count all the crayons, take away, and I think it's a good idea to start with that higher number and count back as you're taking away. That way you can find the answer. I've seen some children start with 1, 2, 3 here, and then count how many they have left. That's something else you can do. But a more efficient strategy would be to start at the higher number and count back that way because it tells you the answer. And you don't have to go back and count. So that's kind of a quick way to get the difference or the answer. All right, another strategy that you could do would be to count back. So we know how many crayons did he start with? All right, he started with 10, so I'm going to put the number 10. And how many crayons did he give Chris? Right, 3. So I'm going to count back 3. And since I'm counting backwards, I'm going to go this way because that's what we do when we're counting back. We go back. I'm going to put 3 lines. And if we're counting back, what number comes right next after we say 10 if we're counting back? Right, 9. So 10, 9, 8, 7. So there again, our difference is 7. So that's another way, another strategy. I've had a lot of boys and girls use their fingers where they start with 10 and just put a finger down. That could be another strategy that you do. You may just know in your head that 3 plus 7 equals 10. So if 3 plus 7 equals 10, then 10 minus or take away 3 is going to equal 7. Because these two problems are related. They're part of a fact family. That might be another strategy that you can do. So those were 3 strategies that you might want to use, and then the other one was, of course, counting on your fingers or counting back on your fingers, starting with 10 and then putting 3 fingers down. You could also count up. You could start with 3 and count up to 10. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then see how many lines you have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, my 7 doesn't want to show up there. I guess I'm too close to the end of the board. Let's see if I can make a 7. All right, so that could be another strategy, counting back from 10, counting back 3, or counting up, starting with 3 and counting up 10 more, which would be 7. Now let's look at another problem. All right, in this problem, Libby was working at the art table. She had 10 crayons. When Jonah joined her, Libby gave Jonah 4 crayons. How many crayons did Libby have then? Well, let's think about that. How many crayons did Libby start with? Right, she starts with 10. And then what does she do with those crayons? Right, she gave Jonah 4. So, is Libby going to have more than 10 crayons at the end? Or will she have less than 10 crayons at the end? Right, she's going to have less than 10. So think about these different strategies that we did in problem 1, where you could count or draw all your 10 crayons, take away 4. You could count back from 10, either starting with 10 and drawing 4 lines, or you could even take your 10 fingers and put 4 down and see how many fingers you have left. You may just know in your head that 4 plus what equals 10. So if 4 plus 6 equals 10, then 10 minus 4 would equal 6. That's correct, because that's part of that fact family. Or you could just go back to problem 1. Now at problem 1, how many crayons were given away? 3. And in problem 2, how many crayons are given away? Right, 4. Since 4 is 1 more than 3, Libby's going to have less crayons than Toshi, right? Because she's giving more away. So what is 1 less than? What is 1 less than 7? Right, 6. So that's another strategy you could use. There's kind of a pattern there. So those are some different ways that you could solve some word problems that you're going to be doing today on page 39 and 40.